Hey guys, Pankaj here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about another Python data type, that is tuple. So let's see what and all I'm going to cover today. Let's share my screen. Okay, so those who are landed to this video first time, I would suggest please go back to my playlist and take a look at string data type video and list data type video. Okay, so I have explained a lot of concept. Similar concept will be available in tuple also, so I will not be talking in detail. So I would suggest please watch those video and come back here. Okay, so we'll be seeing the tuple definition and a lot of examples, how to check the type of tuple and couple of tuple operation like concatenation, repetition. Then again, we'll be seeing indexing and slicing what we have done in string and list. Okay, then we'll see what and all methods are available. Very limited methods because it is read-only tuple, which I'll talk about it. Okay, then though it is a very small topic, but a lot of interview questions will be arising in this data type. Okay, so I mentioned here, we'll see one by one. Okay, so let's see its definition. So it's a heterogeneous sequence data type. Okay, so what I mean to say heterogeneous means any kind of data type can be used as an element for the tuple sequence. Okay, a single tuple may contain data types like integer, string, as well as objects. Tuples are immutable data type and hence they cannot be altered after their creation. So if you remember string and tuple, which I have talked earlier also, they are immutable, means once it is defined, they cannot be modified. They can be deleted, but internal contents cannot be modified. List as in another sequence data type, but that is mutable. So once it is defined, we can modify its content. Okay, it's an ordered data type. It is also known as read-only data type because once they are defined, it cannot be modified. This is also very famous interview questions. So what kind of data type it is? Other than immutable, you can say it is read-only because once it is defined, it cannot be altered. Okay, so let's see the example here. How to define the tuple. So I'll take one variable called a equal to. So this is to define the empty tuple. Int a, int type of a. Yeah. So a equal to, so tuple notation will start from uh, small bracket. Then how to check the type of it using type function. Okay. So this is the way you define the empty tuple. And of course, you can check the length of this using length function. That is 0, means there is no element. Okay. Let's see a couple of other, because as I mentioned, it is heterogeneous, right? So let's see what and all element can be used. So I'll use integer, then some float value, then string. I can use dictionary as well. I can use complex data type. Okay. So here is the uh, tuple which is getting printed using print function, and its type is tuple. It belongs to tuple class. Okay. So one more question which will be like most frequently it will be asked in the interview. How do you define single element in tuple? So let's take a look here. So you may see, okay, I'm using this small bracket, then we can directly define a equal to small bracket 1, right? So let's see whether it is correct or wrong. And let's check why, how, what is the type of variable a. Okay, now you may be wondering why it is integer type, though I have defined as a tuple. So remember guys, this bracket is optional. Okay, so whenever you don't use bracket, it will be treated as normal integer type if I talk about just one. And if you use bracket and if you don't add one single comma, then it will be treated as integer. So comma is mandatory, then only it will become a tuple. Okay, so let's take a look. I'll just copy paste. Okay, so that's how this comma is differentiating with normal defining one and along with comma. Okay, so once you use comma, then it will become as a tuple. Okay, so please remember this. This will be asked in the interview. Okay, how to check data type? I have already mentioned is a equal to 1. in type of A. So it belongs to tuple class. Now let's see concatenation. So what is concatenation, guys? So in my previous video also I talked about it. So this is nothing but concatenating or adding two tuple element. Okay. So I'll define A equal to 1, 2, 3, B equal to 4, 5, 6. Now let's add A plus B. See what happens. So it will create a new tuple by adding first tuple element and second tuple element, right? So this will be helpful only because, as I mentioned, it is read only. You cannot modify the original tuple once it is defined, right? So best way is you create another one and keep adding the element and create a new one because original cannot be modified. Okay, so that's about concatenation. Let's see the repetition. So repetition, as I mentioned earlier also, this will be used using a star operator by which you can repeat one particular object in a number of times. Okay, so I'll just take 1, 2, and 3, and A star, let's say I give 5. Okay, so this tuple element will be repeated 5 times and will create a new tuple. That's how you perform the repetition. Okay, now coming back to indexing and slicing. So this is exactly same as whatever I have explained in the list and string. Okay, so I'll just reiterate once again. So indexing always starts from 0, and we have two way of indexing. One is positive indexing, that is forward indexing, means left to right, and one is negative indexing, or also known as backward indexing, you by using negative index. Okay, so positive index will start from 0, negative index will start from -1 till length of that particular list or tuple. Okay, so let's take a look how to do forward indexing or positive indexing. I'll create one small example using P, then Y, then T, O, and A. Okay, so here is the tuple element P, Y, T, H, O, N. Now let's see how to do the indexing. So I'll just use 0. It means it will print the first element of the tuple. Let's use another index. 3, that is third element. So third element is what? 0, 1, 2, 3, H, right? Now let's use another element. Say, well, what if I give 9? It will throw an error because, as I mentioned earlier also, indexing, you have to use only those possible number, whatever is falling between the 0 and length -1. Okay, so 9 is going out of index. That's why you are getting tuple index out of range. Okay, so I'll just comment it. Later you can try by downloading the notebook. I'll just use 4, 5. Okay, so that's how you do forward indexing. Let's take similar example and use backward indexing. So in backward indexing, what I mentioned, you can use negative index right from -1 till length. So -1 is nothing but your last character or last element of the tuple. Then I'll use -3, that is -1, -2, -3 H, -5 is nothing but your -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is character 5. Okay, so that's all about forward and backward slicing. Let's talk about, sorry, forward and backward indexing. Let's talk about slicing. So slicing, as I mentioned, it is nothing but taking subset of the sequence. So you have whole sequence, let's say 10 character, I want from 0 to 4th character, or 0 to 4th element, then 4 to 8th element, right? So that's how you do slicing. So in slicing also you can do positive indexing and by using negative indexing. So we'll see examples. Okay, so for this you have to use again print A, then square bracket notation, and let me write down the syntax here once again so that you can refer it. So what is syntax? You have to use variable name followed by square bracket, then you have start index, followed by column, then end, then step size. Okay, where start is nothing but 0 if not provided. End is length minus 1 if not provided. If provided, then it is always excluded. Okay, then step size always +1 if not provided, minus negative. I just mentioned negative index, negative step size to be used in case of backward slicing. We'll see the example, then you'll understand. Okay, so that's all about syntax of the slicing. Now forward slicing, so we'll just use column column. Okay, so I'm not providing a start index, I'm not providing end index. Then what does it mean? Start will be by default 0 if not provided, and will be length minus 1 if not provided, and step size by default is +1 if not provided, right? So I'm going to get the whole string, whole tuple element, right? So let's take another example. I can give column. Okay, so step size anyway by default +1, so it doesn't matter if you provide double column or single column. Okay, now let's take another example. I'm starting from 2 and end index is not provided, means it will go till the last. Okay. I'm starting with 2 and every second element, right? So it will start from 2. So 0, 1, 2. T has come, okay? And after that, every second element. So after T, you have second element as O. So that's why you got O. After O, we don't have any second element. That's why no more elements, right? Now I can give, let's say 2, then I can give 8 without step size. So what does it mean? Starting from 2 till end 8. So as I mentioned in the syntax, 8, that is end index will be always excluded. So 8 minus 1, 7. So 2 to 7 will be printed. Okay, that is 2 to 7, THON. Okay, so after n we don't have anything. So the good thing about slicing is, even though you are giving index out of range, it is not going through an error. Whatever is coming before that, it will print that those number of elements. Okay, so I can just make another example here. Let's say 2 to 6 I give. Okay, so 6 is out of range, but 6 anyway it is excluded, so it will fall till 5. So 2 to 5 will be printed. Okay, in fact, if you give 800, so at least 2 it is starting, but end index it is not there. But before, after 2 to 800, whatever is coming, everything will get printed. Okay, so in the slicing, don't think that you cannot give out of index. You can give, but whatever is falling within the range, only those elements will be printed. Okay, so let's take another example. Column, I give, let's say 2. So from 0 to last, every second element. So first will come P, then T, then O. So okay, so that's about forward slicing. Let's take a look at backward slicing. So in backward slicing, guys, what I mentioned, let me just copy this. Okay, so backward slicing, as I mentioned, it will start from negative index, starting from -1 till length. Okay, so I just delete this. So column, you are not giving start, you are not giving end, then by default 0 to 1, which we have already seen. Let's take a look here. I want to print everything in a reverse order. Okay, so you can give column -1. So start, since you have not given, it will be starting from here, and end also you have not given, it will be taken as last. But here we are giving negative index because I want to print from backside. So the moment Python interpreter sees the step size is -1, then start will be your -1 and will be almost the last one. Okay, that's how you get the whole element get printed in the reverse order. Let's take some more example. I'm giving -2 to -5. Okay, so what is my -2? Oh, and -5 will be excluded. So -5 and then -4. So -5 minus -1. So minus minus will become plus. So -5 plus 1, that is -4. So -1 to -4 will get printed. Okay, but remember, as I mentioned, when you are going backward slicing or negative indexing slicing, then you have to mention step size explicitly as -1. Okay, so now you see O, H, and T. So -2, -3, -4. Okay, similarly, you can give -1. I want from -1 to -5. So -5 will be excluded till -4 it will come. So -1, -2, -3, -4 will get printed. Okay, let's see another example. So if I give, let's say, -5 to -2. Now pause for a bit and let's see why it is not giving any value. Okay, so remember guys, this is very important concept. I have explained in the previous video also. Now see in what direction you are moving. From -5 to -2, -5 to -2, you are moving to forward direction. Left to right means -5 is nothing but 1 and -2 is nothing but 4. But here what we are giving the step size -1. We are trying to move to the reverse direction, but you are giving as forward direction. Okay, so that's why none of the elements are falling within this range or within this bracket. So that is the reason you are not getting any element, right? So for this, what you have to do, you have to give positive index. Give either 1 or you don't give anything because by default is +1. Okay, so remember this. Now let's take another example. So this time I'm going to give 1 and I can give -2 also. Why? Because -2 is nothing but 4, right? So 1 to 4 is nothing but same as 1 to -2, correct? So here I'm going in a forward direction, so no need to mention step size. By default it is +1 only. Okay. Now let's take some other example. I'm going to print 4 to -5. Okay, again you got empty. Why? Because 4 is nothing but -2 and -5 we are giving. So this itself is telling you are moving from backward direction, right? So in this case, mandatory thing is you have to give negative step size. Okay, otherwise you'll get empty data. I can give -1 or -2, whatever you want. Okay, so I hope you understood this one. And yeah, this is going to take some time to understand. So I would suggest please pause the video, understand the concept once again, keep trying in parallel in your notebook. Okay, then you'll get better hands on. Okay, so that's all about forward slicing and backward slicing. Let's take a look at what are available methods for tuple. I'll just take one example, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so as I mentioned, dir is the function which will print all the supported methods for any object. So I'm going to give a, that is tuple. So guys, here if you notice, we have only two methods available, count and index. Okay, so I'll just take one more example here to show you the difference between list and tuple. Just take 2 and 3. Print p dir of b. Okay, so the purpose of showing this is because, as I mentioned, list is mutable type, so you can do a lot of operation, right? Because it provides the flexibility to modify its content, right? But tuple is immutable; you cannot modify any data. That's why you don't have any more method associated with tuple. You can just count the element, you can just do the indexing of the element, right? But you see, in the list, we have pop, we have remove, insert, sort, append, copy. So these are the methods which will modify your internal content of the list, correct? Because it is immutable. So please remember that these are the only methods supported for the tuple. Okay, so let's take example. how to do use of this count. We have already seen in the string as well as list, exactly same way you can use in the tuple also. Okay, so let's take a look at another example. Okay, so all you can use is count of one. How many times one is present, right? Let me add some more one, then you understand. So 3 times one is present. We have 3 also. How many times it is present? 2 times, right? Now let's see what indexing does. A dot index. See here. So it will give the index of the value, whichever value is coming. So return first index of a value. Why the first index? Because you can have some repeated elements also, right? So it will give the first occurrence of that. It will give the index of the first occurrence of that particular value. So I would like to have another list here, sorry, tuple, where I'll give 1, 10, 20, 300, 400, right? And I want to get the index of, let's say, 10. You see it is giving 1 because it is present at 0 and first position which is present. Let's take a look at another example. 400. It is giving 4 positions, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's how you check the index, and that's how you count the occurrences of that particular number in the tuple. Okay, so guys, this topic is very small, but yeah, a lot of interview questions comes in the tuple data type. So let's see what and all interview questions can be asked. So first is like how to create an empty tuple. So this you already know. We have this a and type of a. Right? This is the way to create the empty tuple, and how you can prove it is empty. Print length of a, which is nothing but 0. Okay. Now, how to define single element tuple? This is very important question. I would suggest to repeat once again. Go to the beginning of the video. I have already talked about it. A equal to, don't just give 1. Okay. It is not a tuple type. I can just prove once again. Here it is integer, because if you define single element in tuple, that 1 is mandatory. 1 comma. Okay. I just mentioned so that we can refer it later. Okay, so difference between 1 comma, a equal to 1 comma, and a equal to 1. Okay, so as I mentioned during the beginning of the video, bracket is not mandatory while defining the tuple. Okay, so here if a equal to, you type 1, then you can type 1 and use the type function to get its type belongs to what. Okay, see what it is giving, integer, right? Now if you write the same thing along with comma, what happens? It has become tuple because it is following the rule for defining tuple. If any single element which is ending with comma, that will belong to tuple class. This is the way to define it. Okay. Now same way as I mentioned, 6:30. Same as this one, because it's not mentioning tuple. Okay, so you can define like this also. So a equal to single element tuple, I should mention. Okay. Now, how to alter elements of a given tuple? Is it possible? Not possible. This is the answer interviewer will expect. Not possible because tuple is immutable data type. Okay, how to clear all elements of tuple? So this I had already mentioned earlier also. So can you clear or not? So let's take a look whether it is possible or not, because that method is not shown in the dir function, right? So let's see what it does. A dot clear. See here. tuple object has no attribute here, so not possible. But what is possible? You can delete the whole tuple. Okay, that is the only possible way. How to delete? Okay. Okay, so I'll just show whether assignment you can do or not. A equal to 1, 2, and 3. Print A. So you remember in the list we were using assignment operator, right? So here also I'll just give a try and show you guys whether it is really possible or not. See here, tuple object does not support item assignment. Why? Because it is an immutable data type. Okay, so immutable data type is the answer for almost all of the questions. Okay, now let's see list versus tuple. Couple of differences I have mentioned here. So tuples are stored in a single block of memory. Tuples are immutable, so it doesn't require extra space to store new objects. Okay, lists are allocated in two blocks. The fixed one with all Python object information and variable size block for the data. So I'll show this is the reason why tuple takes less memory than list. I can prove it also by giving some hints here. It also explains the slight difference in the index speed is faster than list because in tuples for indexing it follows fewer pointer. Why fewer pointer? Because tuple has one single memory and list has two block of memory. Correct. Okay, so how to show that whether it is taking less memory or memory? So I'll import one library. This is just for your reference. Don't worry about the import because I'll be talking about uh, import functionality and all in the module classes. Import, we have sys, then we have sys dot get size of, let's say, tuple, empty tuple. Just do some print. I'll give empty list. So here, yeah. So here, this is the type of. See here, size of an empty tuple is 40 and size of an empty list is 56. Why it is taking more space? Because as I mentioned here, the fixed one with where is that list are allocated in two blocks. The fixed one with all the Python object information. It has to store Python object information because it is mutable data type, correct? And tuple is not mutable. That's why it just take one single block. Okay, so that's why due to that extra block, it is taking extra memory. Okay, so this is the answer. Which one is fast, list or tuple? So of course, lists are allocated in two blocks, the fixed one with all the Python object information and variable size block for the data. The tuples are stored in single block of memory, and that is the reason tuple is faster than the list. Okay, so tuple is immutable, immutable. Again, it is immutable. How do you print all elements in reverse order of in the given tuple? Okay, so this I have already shown. Let's see once again. Print a square bracket colon colon -1. Okay. Now, what are the various advantages and disadvantages of using tuple? This is also asked in interview. So please remember, guys, all the differences. And you don't have to remember all those things because while trying only, you'll get to know what is the difference between list and tuple. Okay. So what are the advantages? So tuple is that they use less memory where lists use more memory, which I have already shown here. Okay. We can use tuples in a dictionary as a key, but it is not possible with the list, which I'll be talking more while I'll talk about dictionary data. Okay. We can access element with an index, input tuples in list. That is the advantage. What is the disadvantage? We cannot add an element. So let's say you define the tuple and later you want to add some more element, right? This cannot be done because you should know what you're going to do. If you have that kind of data type, then better go with the list. Okay. We can't sort a tuple, but in list we can do sort by calling list sort method. Okay. So if you see here in my dr function, yeah. So list provide one sort function which will do the sorting. If all the elements are jumbled, then you can use a sort function. Then it will always rearrange all the elements in the ascending order. But whereas in tuple, there's no sort function, right? So that is another difference. We can't remove an element in tuple because it is immutable type. We cannot replace an element in tuple, but you can do in a list. Okay, so these are the advantages of tuples and disadvantage of tuple. Okay, guys, so that's all about tuple. So you may ask like why we are going to use tuple, because it has a lot of limitation, right? But other than limitation, it has a lot of benefits also, because it is faster, it takes less memory, right? And mostly where do you use when, let's say when I talk about the function, I'll be telling about you guys what kind of data type to be returned. Okay, so when you return data type from a function and you want to make sure that that doesn't get modified accidentally by any user or by any other function call, you must return data as tuple data type. Okay, that is another use of tuple. So I hope you like this video and you have learned more about tuple now. Okay, so those who are watching this video first time, I would suggest to go back to the previous video where I'm explaining about the string and list data type. Okay, so a lot of things are common, but few things are different, and that's what will help you to prepare for the interview. Okay, guys, that's all for the day, and please subscribe my channel if you haven't subscribed, and keep watching my space so that you'll get to know about a new video. Now, next I'm going to talk about the dictionary data type, which is the fourth data type of Python. Okay, there also I'll show a lot of examples and a lot of interview questions which can be asked from the dictionary. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.